And now, prepare for Oblation Comics Live with your host and co-host, Vinny and Christina Episode! Hello and welcome to Oblation Comics Live. I am your host, Vinny. This beautiful Wednesday morning, we got some exciting news. My comic book Arbiter has been fully funded. Let me go and show you guys the good news here. Share my screen. So thank you guys for everyone who did back the comic. We are now moving along with the art. So we're going to talk about what it means to be fully funded. What's the next steps we're going to take, because we're not crossing the finish line yet. However, we are closer to the finish line. So this is more of like a checkpoint, and I'm very grateful to everybody who did back the project. Let's see if I can share my screen here, and we'll take a look at the campaign. Look at this, 100%. We funded our $5,000 goal. And so, yeah, so what this means is the art, everything, all the expenses now can be paid to my artist, my colorist, my inker, my letterer, all. So the way it works, if you're unfamiliar, is that there's things called page rates. So I did add a few more pages to the story, which we can talk about later, but every time I submit a page to be drawn or colored or inked or lettered, there's a page rate that I pay my artist for, and when they submit their work, I pay them for that. If there's any revisions that need to be made, obviously we'll pay them when that work is complete. So $5,000. What that means is that the whole book can be completed. It is not completed yet. There are a few pages done. I'll show you one newer page that has been completed, but now the whole book can be completed. So after that stage, then would move into the printing process, which I would submit the file to a printing company, and they'll be printing all the covers issues. So this would be cover A, our main cover. This will be cover B and cover C. And so there'll be 3 different printing runs for each cover. Excuse me. And then finally, once we get our samples back from the printer, make sure that there's no errors or issues. I don't know how long that process is going to be. So this is my first time doing this. I did some research, but for me, at least, you don't really learn until you do it. So I tried reading, and and I do know something of the process, but I'm asking for a little bit of leeway, a little bit of grace, because this is my first time doing this. So we're gonna go back and forth with the printer, make sure everything's up to standard, and then finally we'll get it printed. I'll get it shipped to me, and then I will ship it to you. So we're moving closer to the finish line with this comic book, and guys, you're going to love it. This is a great story. Now, this is just the beginning. This is issue 1. I do plan on doing more, but we're going to have to see if people want more. Right? So I can't. All right, if I had infinite money, then I'll just keep making these. But unfortunately, that's not the case. That's why I'm crowdfunding. So I'm looking forward to issue 2, issue 3, and so on, which are already done, by the way. Issue 2 and 3 will complete the first story arc. And that's already written, edited, and ready to be drawn. So, yeah, I apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather, but that's okay. So that's where we are. That's where we're headed, and I'm very excited because things are finally moving. And it took a little while, but that's okay. As long as this is going, you guys read it and enjoy it. That's all. It's all good. So with that being said, I did add. I'll give you some updates, all right, because I am notoriously bad with follow-ups and updates and stuff like that. But some updates. I did add 2 more pages to the story. So originally this was 22 pages, moved to 24, and now it's at 26. So it's 26 pages, still the same. Well, it was the same price. The early bird pricing is over, so you'll see. If you go here, we're sold out. So remember, it was $8 plus shipping. Now that we're funded, we're moving it to where it should have been all along. You can still get it for $5 as a digital comic, which is perfectly fine. But it's really around $12 plus shipping. That's where it really should have been. I misread the community. I thought that having a less expensive item would ease the barrier of entry. And as it turns out, when a comic is less expensive, people believe in this sphere that it's qualitative. So if it's less expensive, that means the quality is less. So that's partly on me for misreading community, but it's also partly on you guys too, because look at this art. Like, this is high quality art, and you can I put it up there so you can look. The new lettering, it looks fantastic. So early bird pricing is over. There is one thing left, actually. This I Want It All bundle. There's one left. I think should be. But you can still get the I Want It All bundle for $60, which would be the $8 pricing for all 3 covers. But as it currently stands, excuse me, digital comic would be $5. Cover A, $12, if that's all you want, plus shipping. Cover B, $18, and cover C is $22. And the reason why is because there's a very limited printing. Right, cover C is the most rare cover that we're going to have. It's very limited, and it's only going to be printed once. So the prices are higher because the printing is lower. Same thing cover B. It's limited printing. It's going to be more than cover C, but it's still limited to a certain amount of copies. But cover A, we'll print as many as we need to fulfill and have a little bit extra. So you'll be fine with cover A. You can buy as many cover A's as you'd like. But yeah, so that is the updates. I did want to talk. You know what? Before I go any further, maybe I should have done this at the beginning. We're going to play this video. If you guys have never seen it before, this is the trailer to Arbiter.
Darkness creeping like a shadow, demons crawling from the gallows, spirits wandering through the meadows. There's no light inside. Hear the battle and the distant screams of war. Oh, can you listen? Heavy chains, they are a prison. Are you free or a slave to the fight? Are you a lover or are you a liar? Are you a sinner or are you a fighter? Are you the hunted or are you the hunter? Are you a demon or are you a savior? Find yourself, don't be afraid, there's a light beyond the flames. Angels, they are calling your name as you run into the fight. Rise from the ashes, rise from the graves, rise to your purpose, rise from the pain, rise up from anger, rise from the shame, rise to the occasion and say, are you a lover or are you a liar? Are you a sinner or are you a fighter? Are you the hunted or are you the hunter? Are you a demon or are you a savior?
All right. So that was Arbiter. And yeah, so the basic story is I just want to briefly go over real quick. Sorry, quick. Okay. What you're buying here, the story is a long form story. There's a lot that I want to say. There's a lot to the story of Arbiter. I kind of want to talk briefly about what it is. It all begins basically in a fifth dimension, without going too much into like a lore dive, deep depth dive. there's a war going on in the fifth dimension that bleeds into our dimension. There was an order of arbiters that were to protect our realm from this new threat from a higher dimension. That order has long been dispersed, and it doesn't exist anymore. And so there's one arbiter left, and it's our hero here, Chris. And he doesn't know what he is. He doesn't know anything about the order of arbiters or what his abilities are or anything like that. However, he did get adopted by a man who knew way more than he let on. His name was Joshua. And so he raised him, training him, but withholding a lot of the knowledge till he was ready. Unfortunately for our hero here, his mentor disappears and never finished his training, never found out what he was, never had answers to his questions. He just disappeared, which left our hero, Chris, wandering around, trying to figure out what he is, who he is, and what his purpose is in life, which leads him to this place called the Pit. It's an underground fighting club. He feels drawn to this place, and he lets out some steam, as well as beating up some thugs. However, as you can see in what's already available here, first 5 pages, he catches the eye of some pretty big and powerful players in Calico City, which is the name of the city this story takes place in. And he is no longer living under the radar. He's got a target on his back. And so that's all the setup. And the story of the first issue is really the first time he hears the term arbiter. That's where the story picks. A story, like as Stanley is famous for saying, a story has to start somewhere. I chose to begin the story the first night that Chris hears that he is an arbiter. And so that's where this issue 1 is. Now, there's a lot that comes before. There's a lot that comes after. It's going to take some time to tell this whole story. But that's what you're beginning, this first issue. And the first story arc is complete. And by the time it's the end of the 3rd issue, which is the first story arc, you'll have a much better understanding about this world that I've built, the mythology behind it, the stakes, and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to spoil too much. But that's really what this first issue is about. You're just dipping your toes into this world, and it's very exciting. There's a lot of things that you've never seen before. This isn't like any book on the comic book shelf. This isn't a story that you've read before. It's not my version of DC Comics or Marvel Comics or anything like that. This is completely unique, high-level story that I think you'll really enjoy. So if you are interested, go back the project if you haven't. Excuse me, if you haven't already, or share the campaign with other people, please. It's just me, so I'm learning all this, from the beginning. So I've already made a lot of mistakes with this campaign. That's why it took so long to fund. I've learned a lot, so my next campaign should go much smoother. However, I'm learning everything for the first time, so bear with me. We're going to get this done. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to have a great story to really dive into. And I'm hoping that my next campaign will be much quicker, and then the campaign after that will fund much quicker, so that I can get the story into your hands at a much faster rate. That's the goal. That's what I'm hoping for. So with that being said, I'm wondering if I should talk a little bit about my philosophy in writing, because I am the writer. I'm the creator of this. I did all the character designs as well, but I'm more of an amateur artist. Let me stop sharing the screen here, and let's go back. All right. Actually, before I go that, I'll show you guys some cool new. There it goes. All right. So this is one of the newer pictures, panels that we're working on here. This scene is, I'm not going to say who's driving this car, but this car gets stopped by some ruffians, some hooligans, and they're looking to do some damage. They got nothing to do. They're bored. There's lockdowns in order, which you'll read about in the comic book, why that's the case. And so this is a pretty dangerous scene, and it's a pivotal scene too in the first issue. This is a leading towards a climactic moment. So yeah, I want to show off some of that art to you guys. But yeah, so a little bit about my philosophy of writing. Like I said, I design the characters, made this world, but I'm primarily just the writer. And so I've been noticing a trend in writing recently. And I'm just going to kind of talk about a little bit of writing philosophy. Coming from me, in my opinion, again, you can disagree. Let me know in the comments how I'm wrong I am or whatever. But my core writing philosophy, and I don't go too far with this, but generally speaking, I believe that the villains should be relatable. The heroes should be aspirational. So what I mean by that is like a strong villain should make emotional sense, right? Like they're angry, they punch that guy because they were disrespected or whatever. That's relatable, right? You've been at work, you have a customer service, whatever, they rude or disrespectful. That's like the emotion that you want. Like, I'm angry, I'm going to throw down. That you should be able to relate to that, right? It should reflect a good strong villain should reflect like real fears. You know, they represent the understandable priorities of survival, security, loyalty, grief, you know, whatever, protection of their people, right? Those all should be relatable, but they should be qualities of a villain, right? You should think when you see a villain in a show or movie, comic, whatever, I understand why they believe that, right? They're relatable. Whereas the hero should be more aspirational. Our hero should act rightly, even though it is costing them something, right? They should choose restraint over efficiency. All right, that's things that primarily are classical heroic qualities, right? They do what's right. They prioritize their duty over whatever the outcome, right? So when we look at a hero in a story, we should see. I hope to be like that, right? If I was in that situation, I don't know if I would make that decision, but I hope I would, right? So the reason why I bring this up is because there's a trend in storytelling that's been happening for a while, but the heroes, right, the people you're supposed to be rooting for in movies, TV shows, or whatever, books, they have the frame of a hero, but they are actually villainous. They have the philosophy of a villain, and there's many examples that I can bring up, but there's one that I actually wanted to show. I've been reading this Transformers series, and I love it. It's by Skybound. If you're not reading it, if you are a Transformers fan, it's a great series. It's really good. But this last issue, issue 30, was really interesting. I'm gonna add a panel here. This is what I can find online. So there is going to be some spoilers if you haven't read it, but this is just one example of many that I've come across where the hero character is actually a villain. But so the basic setup to this is that Cybertron, if you know anything about Transformers, you know Cybertron is at war, and that's what you know. That's the consistency throughout every Transformers series. So Cybertron is at war. It's dying. Now the Autobots, the good guys. Now just track with me if you're not interested in Transformers. Just track with me because the point that I'm making is a bigger point. But the war is split, right? So you have the Autobots, the good guys, the Decepticons, the bad guys. They break away from Cybertron, half of them, and they crash land on Earth, where they're dormant for thousands of years or whatever, and they wake up and now they're back at the war, and now this time on two fronts, Cybertron and Earth. So the war's happening on two different spots, right? This character, Alita, the pink here, she's been on Cybertron this whole time fighting this war. Okay, Optimus, our leader here, has been on crash land on Earth, who now views Earth as worthy of protection. He sees Earth. He's like, this place is beautiful. It's soft. It's colorful. It's vulnerable. And we're bringing this harsh war that's been on for, thousands of years to this planet. We have to protect this planet. And so as the story progresses, there is a conflict that arises. What's more important, the war on Cybertron or the war on Earth? There's disagreements. Okay, so that's the basic setup. Okay, so Alita, I guess that's her full name. She sees Cybertron as like she's been on this planet. This is her home. Their people are losing the war, and Optimus, their leader, is distracted by protecting Earth. And he's not being a good leader because he's not with his people, he's with Earth. Okay, leadership requires hard decisions. That's her idea, right? Leadership requires hard decisions. We have to make the hard decision to go back to Cybertron, win the war there, and be done with it. So that's understandable, right? We can all understand that idea of philosophy, okay? Now, this is what happens, though. Instead of working this out as the Autobot, because they're both Autobots, they're both good guys, okay? She literally tries to rip open. Let's see, I have a few pictures here. She rips open his like chest armor where he keeps like his spark. This is what makes him the leader, basically. So she pretty much just throws down with the leader, which is not what Autobots do, to try to rip his title from him by force, which is exactly what the Decepticons, the bad guys, do. So that Optimus says, I'm not going to fight you. I'm just going to let the spark decide or whatever. And you would think at this point, the spark would be like, no, this person, Alita, is too possessed. Like she doesn't have the emotional state that she, needs to lead. She is acting more of a violent, destructive Decepticon. But in fact, it does choose her. She becomes Alita Prime. And she goes back to Cybertron to try to win the war. So does that make her evil? Does it make her bad? No, but it does make her a villain. And now, to be fair, I don't know where the story is going to go from this point on, right? This is only one chapter of a longer story. So presumably, there's a few different endings that could take place. One of them could be she recognizes that she's not leadership quality. She's just like Megatron, and that she returns the spark to Optimus. That could be one ending. Another ending could be that she becomes like a Megatron, like a bad version of the Autobots. And she pretty much inverses, right? So the Autobots are all about freedom. The Decepticons are about freedom under their control, right? Like, so they're going to squash out all rebels. They're going to squash out just like, the Nazis and all that. That's what they represent. So we're going to have peace. I should say not freedom, peace. When all other opposing forces are eliminated. She could easily become that for the Autobots, right? It's just the same kind of, problem. And then Optimus would have to try to take down Alita, just like he would Megatron. So that would be a more compelling way the story goes. Or, she could just be justified, which would be the worst ending, right? Her villainous actions be justified. But so this is just one example. In Marvel Comics, if you're reading Imperial Guardians, issue 1 just came out, and their mission is to protect the Galactic Union by any means necessary, right? So again, justification through whatever heinous actions they may take. It's, the ends justify the means. Again, this is antagonist philosophy, but it's framed as a hero, right? These are the good guys we're supposed to be rooting for. But again, I think that hero should be aspirational. You should be looking at the main character, looking at the hero of the story, and he should be making the hard decisions like Optimus was, right? Going back to Transformers. So this is a trend that I've been seeing for a while, whether it be comic books, movies, stories, novels, whatever, that is, it's interesting, it's troublesome, but I feel like there is a revival happening as far as like good guys being good. Like, as weird as that sounds, we went to a lot of anti-heroes, which is different, right? An anti-hero is decisively a bad person that does a good thing, right? That's basically what an anti-hero is. And we went through a phase of all heroes being anti-heroes. They're just bad guys that do good things. And I think there was a lot of moral ambiguity with writers, with people, with our culture in general. Like, art is always reflective of our culture. So it's no coincidence that the trend of the hero is like the gray. Like they don't know what's right, because our culture, I believe, where we're coming from, we're confused. We don't know what is right from wrong. We don't know what the right thing to do is. We don't know what if there is a right or wrong. So that is reflective in our art. And I think that's worth mentioning, worth pointing out. So, like, questions like, should we escalate? Usually, the classic hero would say we escalate at our last resort, right? Modern protagonists are just like, yeah, if necessary, we'll do that. We'll get violent. Should outcomes justify harm? Right? Classical heroes like, no, like that's never okay. Modern protagonists, you're like, yeah, sometimes, right? That's we read in the Marvel story. Should we control others? The classical hero and whatever, no. Everyone has freedom, should have freedom to make their own decisions. Never. We should never control others. Modern protagonists are, yeah, we should control other people for safety. That's like, but that's the hero saying that. That's people we're supposed to be rooting for. Is survival our top priority? The classical hero would say duty. Well, who are we? We should be dutiful to protect, right? So whether it costs me my life or I will take the bullet. That is my duty to protect those around me. With modern protagonists, like, yeah, no, survival. That's top priority. We have to survive. We have to survive. So we have to kill other people. That it's crazy how much the hero is turned into a villain. And I could go on. Like, what about justice? Like, should justice be efficient? Modern protagonists, yeah, our justice should be efficient. Whereas the classical hero is like, is it right? Like, are we doing the right thing? And so anyway, I could keep going on, but my point being is we've moved so far from what a hero should be to what it is today. Which brings me back to, again, my story here, Arbiter. This is a very, very much classical hero. And what I don't mean, let me be clear, when I talk about classical hero versus modern protagonist, I don't mean everything's black and white. And this is kind of what bothers me. Morally gray does not mean depth. Like, if you're like, oh, this is, or complex, oh, this is morally gray, therefore it's complex. That's not true. Morally gray means confused, right? Morally gray means you don't know, right from wrong. You don't. But complexity comes from knowledge, right? So, like a complex character decision would be, if a hero, like in this scene right here, right? If Chris were to have come upon this scene, he would have a choice to make. He could jump in and try to save this person in the car, which would be the heroic thing, the sacrifice thing. Like, they got weapons, like he could get killed, right? So he would sacrifice himself. But the complexity comes in. Well, he's got a home life. If he's gone, who's going to take care of what's he's leaving behind, right? What about tomorrow? And so you have these. What the right thing to do is, but you have these other thoughts that try to rationalize the wrong thing to do, right? And so that's where the complexity comes in. It's not gray, right? Morally gray is like, oh, I don't know what the right thing to do is. Maybe the right thing to do is the wrong thing, and wrong thing, and that's where the confusion comes in. And that's not complexity. That's just a lack of knowledge. you don't know what the right thing to do is. Complexity comes when you do know, but you start to rationalize the wrong things. Okay, and so Arbiter, back to my original point, is a lot more of the classic hero. There is complexity. It's not black and white, right? It's not like I do the right thing all the time. But there's complexity, there's depth, but there's moral clarity, like the classical heroes. My biggest influences on writing are C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, being the top two, which aren't comic book writers, but they are phenomenal writers, and they had a lot of clarity in their writing. They knew what they wanted to say. They said it with excellence and clarity. And so that's where I'm taking to my passion, which is comic books. I love graphic novels. I love the art form of it. And so I'm taking, that classical style of storytelling into the comic book field. So Chris, our hero here, is more of the classical type, where, which I think is refreshing, at least for me, with being bogged down with like nihilistic philosophies and protagonists that are actually more villainous. Having someone who actually does take the bullet, who does jump in, who, with all that complexity, with all that internal dialogue happening, but does the right thing, I think is refreshing. And I hope you guys think so too. Let me put that back up there. But so that is Arbiter. That's one of my philosophical takes on writing, about what villains should be, what heroes should be, and you'll see that reflected into all of my stories. Arbiter is my flagship title. This is what I have been writing for a very long time, but there's more that I have that have nothing to do with Arbiter. But if I can get all that stuff out, you'll see this reflected into all of my stories. That there is hope. Sacrifice does mean something, and it's there is a right decision and a wrong decision, and you'll see some characters make right decisions, wrong decisions in my comic, and the outcomes of that. So, like the reason why I'll also add that I think villains should be relatable is because villains should be a warning. When you look at a villain, you should be able to see yourself in them, and that be a warning. Like, oh man, I'm more like this person that I am like the hero, and that should push you to become more like the hero. That's the purpose of art, right? Art is reflective, right? So when you look at art or you read art, it should reflect something of our culture and of ourselves. We should see ourselves and what we could be, depending on if you're reading about the hero or the villain. So anyway, those are some of my philosophies, and I think I'm going to talk about that in more episodes of Oblation Comics Live, which, by the way, I forgot to mention, I haven't done this in a while because my work schedule has shifted. So I think we're going to be doing this once a month. Christina could not be here today to celebrate our funding, but she will probably, hopefully, be here next time. But yeah, so I think I'll talk a little bit more about my philosophy. I have more down the line that I think would be cool topics to talk about. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen one more time. Why do I keep forgetting how to do this? There we go. Oh, also, if you do want to support me in other ways, I'll share this. This is my Subscribe Star. Oblation Comics at Subscribe Star. So you guys can subscribe to me. I'll be honest with you, I haven't put much time. My time is very split. But if you do want to support me in another way, you could just subscribe to my Subscribe Star. I do intend on putting more stuff on here that's exclusive, discounts, merch at some point. But right now, it's pretty much exclusive updates I will post on here. And yeah, just subscribe a month, whether it be $1, $5, whatever. There's different tiers. Excuse me. And yeah, so you guys can support me that way. Also, I have Twitter and obviously this YouTube channel. Again, Oblation Comics, Facebook, Oblation Comics. You can follow me there. I do post, I think, on Twitter more often, or X, however you want to call it. And yeah, so I hope you guys can support me more with Arbiter. Again, go back the comic book, and let me. Oops, where are you? Screen. All right. So again, this is my comic book Arbiter, fundmycomic.com/Arbiter. Go back in today, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We're going to call it evening. I got to get ready for my work. But yeah, go back Arbiter. I would love to see this continue to grow. I'm not going to close the campaign yet. I'm going to at least wait till everything's done and we're ready to print. And at that point, I will probably do a closeout campaign for this. So I'm hoping we can get some more backers in before that time. But I will keep you guys updated regardless. So thank you guys again for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. All right. Bye, guys.